Roles of a denizen. A content creator is a user that creates posts and is rewarded based on the quality of their content. A content evaluator is a user that helps assess the quality of content and enforces community standards. The evaluator is effectively taking part in a marketplace to curate content and is rewarded for early evaluation. A content consumer is a user that wishes to find and consume the most valuable content in a given subject area or within a community. A lair owner is a person holding tokenized ownership of all or part of a community lair. Owners are rewarded with a portion of all mining activity happening within their lair. Owners are incentivized to build the best community of content creators and evaluators.
What's up, everybody, and welcome to episode 57 of Coffee with Den. This is our second episode of 2023. Happy New Year again. I'll probably be saying that all month because I like it. And I'm happy to report that since I've been back, we've been, I don't know, what's the phrase you want to use? We've been hitting it hard, pedal to the metal, getting a lot done. Lots been happening with Den. At a lot faster pace than it was at the end of last year. So that's pretty cool. We'll talk about some of that. Shout out to Hyperion Frequency, who is driving but listening. Thanks for joining us. One of our most recent Den.social lot holders, in fact. So that's pretty cool. That means that he can propose things by himself without asking anyone in the Den.social layer to be a site-wide change. So go bug him about stuff. Also, we in a second I'll bring up our two good friends T Swift or Die and Gravity Crab, who are going to be joining us. Looks like they're ready to go. Before that, though, if you're wondering what today's title is about, I usually just make them up the day before or when I'm posting the Coffee with Den post, and it just happened to be what I was thinking about at the time. So the title is A More Perfect Union, and I just want to read the first part of a speech by Barack Obama that I'd like to get us going. So you know what? I should have had John do this. He probably would have a good impression. He's that kind of guy that would make it more interesting. But I'm just going to read it as a tired person holding a coffee cup. We the people, in order to form a more perfect union, 221 years ago, in a hall that still stands across the street, a group of men gathered and with these simple words launched America's improbable experiment in democracy. Farmers and scholars, statesmen and patriots who had traveled across an ocean to escape tyranny and persecution finally made real their Declaration of Independence at a Philadelphia convention that lasted through the spring of 1787. The document that they produced was eventually signed, but ultimately unfinished. It was stained by this nation's original sin of slavery, a question that divided the colonies and brought the convention to a stalemate until the founders chose to allow the slave trade to continue for at least 20 more years and to leave any final resolution to future generations. So that's the first part of a long speech that admittedly he didn't write, but he did a very good job delivering. And I just think it's interesting. It wasn't that long ago, and I like to revisit some of the recent past sometimes. So there's some food for thought this morning. And with that, let's bring some folks up. We got Mr. T Swift or Die. John, how you doing this morning?
Good. Thank you for not making me do a Barack Obama impression.
Well, it just occurred to me as I was about to read it. I was like, John might actually have, if I had given some advance notice, have come up with something pretty good.
Yeah, the first time I ever did a Barack Obama impression, it came on as Reagan. So I now
really
only
similar
do it.
people, you know.
Yeah, the only person I make listen to my Barack Obama impression is my wife, and that's it.
All
Because
right.
I'm
Well,
slowly working on it. It's not there yet, and it
all right.
probably
Well,
never will be.
when it gets there, let us know. All right. Next, we'll bring up Gravity Crab. Happy New Year, Gravity Crab.
Holy shit, the Barack Obama is Reagan thing killed me. Good God. Morning, y'all. It's wild that you decided to talk about a speech where we decided that we would continue the slave trade until 1804, because one of the people that was pissed about that was good old Alexander Hamilton. And while I was in New York, in John's neck of the woods, and didn't even get a chance to see him, me and Jackie managed to walk by Trinity Church and went and saw the grave of Alexander Hamilton and stuff like that.
You mentioned that. Yeah.
It was pretty cool.
Did you guys end up meeting up while you were up there?
No, I didn't get a chance to see him.
Too bad.
I landed the day he was leaving. So.
Yeah, we tried. We genuinely were we were communicating, trying to figure out. At some point, you were involved in that chat, and we decided to move it to a different location.
Which was fine. I saw that, and I was like, oh, the group chat was starting to blow up, and I was like, because we have the three of us, and I was like, oh, cool. I hope that happens.
Jackie and I accidentally walked up on the Ghostbusters firehouse, and that was cool.
Yeah, man.
We were just meandering around, and I was like, that can't be a coincidental sign.
So virtual hug from Hyperion Frequency says hello to here, I'll click on him, to John with an H and David.
Howdy. I had
so
John
yeah,
on my
man,
phone with an H for a year.
How's 23 treating you so far? Does it feel different?
No.
It does for me, man. I'm inspired.
I mean, okay, let me give you the news. Actually, this is news that you need to hear anyways. And some of our guests have heard about it. So as we know, my boss is dealing with some fun medical stuff. He found out that he now has bone cancer.
No way.
Yeah, 2023 sucks so far.
What a whammy.
Yeah,
because he just got through some difficult parts of a different illness, so that sucks.
Yep. So that's what we're dealing with this year so far. And all in all, though, not too bad.
That's unfortunate. I don't even know what else to say to that.
It's sorry to bring the mood horribly down. I just realized that I was like, oh, I haven't told Dave about that yet.
No, that's cool. It's just always one of those things where it's like, crap. There's nothing good to say about that. I have nothing.
Jesus Christ, that's bad.
So I got a little bit of fun, interesting news.
Thank God.
I'm now related to Bill Murray.
Now, currently.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Well, now that I'm married.
But you weren't. Oh.
Now that I'm married. My wife's, get ready for this one. My wife's dad's cousin's husband is cousins with Bill Murray.
All right. So that's less than 7 degrees of separation from Bill Murray. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's less than 7. That means you're close.
That means I get invited to weddings from now on.
Yeah. He gets to make guest appearances here. Yeah. All kinds of stuff. There's implications.
I got my SNL letter, so we'll see how that goes.
What are the chances that you get to meet Bill Murray? 1 out of 10.
6.
Damn, that's not that bad, actually.
1 out of 10? No, 6% that I do in my
lifetime.
Okay.
Oh, okay. I was like, damn, that's not bad.
Percent, yeah.
No, and it's not because of that. It's because his son owns 2 bars in New York.
Okay. So if you stalk his son enough, you might run into him.
You might accidentally.
Exactly.
Because that's how that works.
Or I just go to Charleston, South Carolina, and try to find him. So we'll see.
I don't know how he'd feel about that.
Speaking of stalking, something that I'm really excited about is, I haven't talked about it a whole bunch, but I've been struggling for a year with my stalking problem. Yeah. No, with a writer's block, sort of inability to accomplish simple tasks kind of thing, mental health, whatever. But for whatever reason, I've been inspired and I've sort of broken through a little bit of that. And I've felt pretty useful so far, the first couple of weeks of this year, if it's been 2 weeks yet. Anyway, one of the things that's been holding up development of the fun stuff on Den that we want, like the leaderboard that we were working on before we paused that, was that there was a bunch of behavior that was basically manipulating consensus, or basically there was three things really. One of them was that we found when we made a change to prevent whales from attacking people's posts to make sure they don't make any money or matter on it. We had a huge week-long conversation with the community. This was like a year or so, two ago, whenever. It was way earlier. Anyway, we fixed that problem, but it introduced another problem that we found more recently, which is that since we have free accounts, people have been able to go spin up a bunch of free accounts and then vote one energy on stuff to manipulate the consensus up or down, which, if you understand how energy works on Den, the consensus flips the energy applied to positive or negative. So even if let's say a bunch of people, let's say there was a shit post that nobody cared about and they voted it down, which they should, but then somebody was like, oh, I'm going to go get a bunch of accounts and vote one energy up on all my little accounts on this one post, which the effect was that it flipped the negative energy to positive because it was an absolute energy score.
Oh, God.
Really weird effects. You know what I mean? It was like, oh, that is an attack vector. So it's interesting to see different ways that behavioral attacks on stuff. Anyway, so that, and then there was the other thing, which was there were some people, we have a feature on Den to block someone so you don't have to read their bullshit if you don't like them, because it happens. There's sometimes you just don't like people. This is where I was going with the stalker thing. But there are some people who would prefer, instead of blocking them so they don't have to think about them and let them live rent-free in their head, they will follow them around to all the layers they post in, and just to downvote them everywhere they go, no matter what layer. You know what I mean? And if that's in one or two layers, that's typically fine, because it could be that there's somebody that a community doesn't want in their layer. They don't like them. Fine. That happens. But there's a few people that have been just really persistent about following, sort of harassing, passive harassment. You know what I mean? Where they're I'm going to go into completely unrelated layer. I'm going to follow this person first of all. I'm going to subscribe. I'm going to subscribe to their account so that I see every post that they post.
Go out of my way.
Yeah, even if they post in a layer I'm not subscribed to, I'll still see it because I'm subscribed to them. I'm following them, right? So I'm going to do that, and then I'm going to go out of my way to open up every post, because you have to open it before you vote on it, and vote it down, no matter what they post and no matter where they post it. And some people have been doing that for months, dude. Every single day, and it's good Lord, I get it. At some point though, just block them.
At
right?
some point, just quit being a petty asshole about everything. Holy crap!
And some of these people I like, and I communicate with, and they actually post genuinely good content too. So it's interesting whenever all of this stuff eventually will have way more transparency, so everybody can see what's going on. But right now, I'm in a position where I'm, helping to solve some of those through automation. If you go back and read some of the Den.social proposals and posts about dev priorities, you'll see that that's kind of the thing right now is, changing the system just enough to detect that behavior and prevent it. So I've got that one ready. It isn't automated yet, but I've been using it and it works, and it reliably detects people that instead of just blocking someone, which is important, by the way, blocking someone, what that does is if enough people block the same person in the same layer, it just bans that person from that layer. So it's actually if you legitimately don't want somebody in your layer, just
automatically
get
rid of this guy that's kind of a douche.
And if enough people in each layer has their own threshold, right? Each layer gets to set their own threshold. And so if enough individual denizens in the same layer express the same opinion by blocking them, then that person's just banned from the layer, right? Works itself out, automated, scales up nicely. You don't have to have humans in offices picking and choosing, who gets banned from stuff. It's pretty awesome.
Humans with biases.
Yeah. So anyway, I would say that one's done. The other one where I'm tentatively calling it a shrimp swarm attack, because it's small bits of it's basically puppeteering, having a bunch
That's
of
a really good
fake
name,
accounts,
actually.
you know. So my shrimp swarm,
Rush.
there's too many false positives right now, but it's almost done. And when that's done, I think we can get back to actually rolling out a leaderboard. And the leaderboard is what I'm really excited about. So I'm excited about two things. One, we're almost done with this like stick in the mud trying to get the system to disincentivize manipulating the consensus, right? Because that's important. And then the next thing, the leaderboard, because we can throw all kinds of stuff up on the leaderboard. John, you've talked about wanting to know where people are having conversations. For example, like there's a bunch of layers, and has talked about this too. It's hard to tell, like, number one, to find which layer's which, like in the list, because there's so many. And number two, which one's got stuff in it to look at. So leaderboard can do that. And I don't know, maybe you guys have some ideas too. Because now I'm thinking in that way of like what to put on the leaderboard. Because a lot of that I can do directly as well.
I'm trying to think of the things I want to know statistically with a leaderboard.
Yeah, like which layers have the most posts per day, or which layers have the most energy spent in them per day, or you could even say like
which layer casts the most. Can it get really specific?
It can do anything.
Which layer has the most racial slurs thrown around in a day?
Yeah, you could have like there's public lists actually where you could match against certain words and stuff. You could do anything. That's the cool thing about software. The more and more I get into software, traditionally I've been a hardware guy, but the more I get into software, I'm realizing it's magic. It's the closest thing we've got to
pretty sweet.
magic. Yeah.
I have to really quickly interject this here because I'm popped up on coffee and mildly stoned. While I was in New York, I noticed something that I'd not noticed the first time I was there. Y'all have the fattest fucking pigeons I've ever seen in my life.
Big old pigeons?
They are huge. I mean, like they are like a fat pigeon we see here. It's just, you think about a pigeon and it's like, oh, it's like a little plump bird. I didn't take a picture of any of them, but I mean, at one point I saw one sitting on something and he was like, his neck didn't exist anymore. He was just massive. So I don't know what the hell y'all feed those birds, but good God.
That's interesting.
Yeah, it's mostly street hot dogs.
Isn't that where New Yorkers come from? Like when a pigeon eats enough garbage, they become a full-blown New Yorker.
That's what it is. When you eat enough garbage, you become a New Yorker. I love it. I wouldn't change a thing about it.
Isn't that in some way a reflection of the New York diet, though? Because aren't they just eating a lot of scraps on the street that fall off of people?
Oh, there's literally just street pizza, street hot dogs, and $500 meals. That's all that's there.
I think basically you just talked about evolution. Aren't dinosaurs just big ass birds?
Yes.
Yeah. So I mean,
I had not seen a rat before until this time. We were walking around. It was like 10 o'clock. I was looking for a place to buy things. And as I was doing so, there's a pile of rats just scurrying out of some cardboard boxes, and they were freaking huge. And they let me get really close to them.
The rats have no fear.
I saw a lady petting a squirrel in Central Park.
Really?
Yeah, I'm surprised that was not a good idea, but...
Yeah, I stay away from those.
First time I saw huge rats was whenever I used to live near DC in a place called Crystal City, right next to the Pentagon. And they have this big underground labyrinth of it's like a shopping mall basically, but underground. It's pretty cool actually. It's like a vault. If you play Fallout, they have like a vault, but it's a shopping mall. It's pretty cool.
It sounds like a Vault Tech project.
Yeah, and so there's restaurants under there too, and also above ground, and a lot of people. And anyway, that was the first time I saw like a cat-sized rat.
Yeah, it was roughly a cat-sized rat that I saw, I would say. Also, I just thought of something. You were in the Navy. Are rats still a problem on boats?
No, we have. Have you seen? It's the same thing they've used forever, but whenever you moor up, you tie the lines to the pier, and there's these big like Elizabeth collar cones they put on the lines, right? That's to keep the rats out.
Elizabeth collar cone. I like that.
Yeah. I don't know what I don't. There's a name. I'm sure. Like I'm sure they're called something.
Oh no, that's perfectly descriptive though. It makes total sense.
Yeah. So that helps a lot. Also, there's not any wood anymore. I imagine that helps. They're not. I don't know if rats and wood are like a necessary thing that goes together, but I feel like they're a lot cleaner now, and there's less stuff that's like potentially like nestable.
Well, I mean,
You know
like
what I mean?
steamships had. Well, I guess they did have wooden steamships for a while.
I don't know if it's the wood or if it's just like the only thing we have really is like the mooring lines and stuff that they could nest in, or maybe the flags because we carry flags and stuff. There's just like not a lot of nestable spaces, and also we didn't like cleanliness is godliness and all that. I get it, but dude, we would clean so much, whether it needed it or not.
You were bored, right?
For a specific it was like a thing that was part of routine, where it's like between these 2 hours every freaking day, everyone's cleaning something. Doesn't matter if it needs it, and if nothing needs it, polish something, like make it pretty.
That's how I keep my house clean. Like I go home and I clean my house if it doesn't need to be cleaned, and that's like,
yeah, maybe that's what I should do. Maybe that's what John should do. I don't know.
I'm currently trapped in a.
Yeah, I was wondering about that.
Yeah, I'm currently trapped in a storage locker at Area 51. It's kind of crazy.
How are you there?
I bet I wish you could tell us, what kind of stuff was in there, but you'd have to kill us.
Oh no!
They kill him.
I can tell you, it's not. It's a storage locker. There's nothing. There's no alien technology. There's like a lost and found section of just like trinkets people lost that work here. There's like cleaning equipment. None of it's alien.
Yeah.
Unless
Do they have any old stuff, like stuff that used to be like secret and special, but now it's not? Now it's like common everyday thing, and like Bob Lazar talked about that hand thing, where you put your hand up there for access.
Oh yeah.
And everybody said that's fake and that's not a thing, but then later on, it was like revealed that the hand thing was. I don't know. I just feel like doing the hand thing right now.
Like, what are we doing here?
For some reason, I'm reminded of like Mitch Hedberg's turkey joke. I used to draw you. Anyway.
Oh, good God. Happy Monday. And Wednesday, everyone.
Monday, Wednesday, it doesn't matter. What is time?
And
time is a social construct.
Happy New Year. This is the first time we've done a show with all of us since the New Year.
Yeah, man. Time today.
Last week was fine. I was on my own, just talking to the camera, but I like doing that, so that's just totally fine. I don't mind.
That's how some of the first episodes were. And they were interesting. I remember listening to them in a van because I was bored. You were like, hey, listen to these because we're doing this now.
Yeah. Those were more about like tutorials of how they use Den and stuff, which I'm writing another one again right now.
Dave didn't give me a choice if I was going to be on the show or not, side note. He basically just said, by the way, we do this now.
I believe
that's a
that.
lie. That's totally a lie. You called me and said, hey, buddy, if you want to do this, it's fine, but I get it if you don't.
That sounds like me, actually.
It was a very Dave move. Now that I think
no pressure, but we used to do that. Or one time I was on that like internet radio.
You were on a radio show that me and Dom did. Speaking of radios, I guess Kiss 105 here is going to potentially have me do little short interview things monthly. That's going to get broadcast.
That'd be cool. Like interviews with who?
Well, I mean, it's like with me. So we're going to do, it'll be like advertisement for here, as well as I can probably I can pitch other stuff too. Yeah, so that's probably going to be really useful, side note.
That's great because y'all need advertising, bro. You are around the corner and like not visible.
Oh yeah, I know. We're good though. We've got we advertise in the Mini Mint, which is a free magazine here. And
Mini
Mint. Yeah, we have the people that own it are fantastic.
That's cool.
We've advertised with them for years. They just go around and do the whole, they print like 30,000 of these magazines and stick them in mailboxes and places. But there's like a little coupon in there. But honestly, we do pretty well with a low amount of advertisement just because we've been here for so damn long.
Nice.
We're probably going on like the 30-year mark. I have no idea when we opened.
Maybe I should advertise Den and the Mini Mint just to get Gainesville on board.
That's not a bad idea, actually. I should see if
Are you sick of the internet? Let's do it again, but cool. Join Den.
Now you've got me having ideas now because we pay for a fairly good size ad, and I could take one of the little corners and put a Den ad on it. I think I'm going to do that now.
Food for thought. Hey, our different subject, John. Are airplanes taken off yet? Can you see them in the sky? Did you read about what happened last night with the FAA?
Wait,
Yeah,
hold on, what?
apparently the FAA, like, yeah, that went down. I just like looked it up on Twitter or whatever.
Yeah.
I was like, now that I think about it, there was kind of like a shortage of planes in the sky.
What the hell happened?
And
They
I
had a
think
computer
and that
outage.
makes sense why there was one just kind of circling. Not like circling, but there was one that was like just not. It was just like in
he
the
was in
air.
a holding. He's in a
Just
holding
hanging
pattern.
out.
Yeah.
So they said that flights that were already in the air were safe to land.
Yeah.
But what had happened was, according to them, was there was here. I'll just click on this over here.
Yeah.
There was an outage in a system that's called Notice to Air Missions. The notice to I clicked on the tweet. I didn't mean to, but I did.
That's not a good thing to be out.
Yeah, so that was out, and so they were gonna. They said something about. Oh yeah, they needed to validate the integrity of flight and safety information. So basically, there was an outage, and before they could get everything back online, the way I'm interpreting that is that they got to make sure that nobody screwed with something, like sabotaged it, right? Because isn't that what that sounds like? To validate the integrity.
Well,
I
there's
think
a couple of things.
I think they're just saying they want it to friggin' work. Like,
Yeah,
no matter what the reason, I think it's vague enough that I don't think the enemies of the U.S. now know what was going on. I think it's just a vague line that some intern wrote.
Gotcha. Yeah, because you can't divulge everything. That's especially if it's an ongoing situation. That does make sense. Yeah.
You can't divulge anything. It says we have to validate the integrity and safety information.
Yeah, I guess you can divulge.
Sure the shit works still.
Yeah,
like we have to run tests before we put people in there. Thank you, I appreciate it.
Yeah, that's probably a good idea. Well, I got a wager going. I offered up 21 matter to anybody who can predict what the root cause of it was.
Well, I know what it was, but they're not going to tell you in the news.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, maybe this should be like whoever matches what they say it was, because that's all we can do, right?
That's better.
Yeah.
Because I know what it was. I'm here at Area 51. I know.
Oh, you would know, wouldn't you?
Know.
Yeah.
So,
fun fact: the Notice to Airmen system, the name of it was changed to Notice to Air Missions to be more inclusive of non-male people. It allowed them to change the name while keeping the same acronym. I thought that was pretty cool. That reminded me of like that's been happening a lot to computer systems, where I remember in 2003 when I joined the Navy, I was going through radar and like electronics school and stuff. We had to stop calling. David, you would be familiar with this. You know how when you have like IDE hard drives, for example, you have the master and the slave configuration. Yep. Well, we had to stop calling it master slave and started calling it parent child instead.
Yep.
So it's interesting. Like the evolution of language is interesting to keep up with. I just found that this morning when I was looking up what actually this NOTAM thing was. That was a fun fact.
Did you find a quick description of it? Because I finally found one.
No.
It literally tells in-flight aircraft about hazards in the air and on the ground. So yeah, a thing doesn't need to be down. So yeah, probably wasn't attacked.
Hey, speaking of Minimates,
that's a good idea.
That's not a bad idea at all.
Yeah, actually, I'll probably see them sometime today or in the next week or so. We're gonna get that rolling, I think.
Cool, man. Well, let me know if you need any help on that, because it's just super simple. It doesn't need to be anything like crazy or big or whatever.
Can the middle of the QR code have the Den logo in it?
Yes, I can totally get that to you. Yeah, that's easy to do.
That would be sweet.
Yep. Thanks to a combination of two pieces of open source software. One is QR encode. You can make any QR code for anything you want without having to go use somebody's like advertised written website.
Did you find that all the way back in the Locagino days?
Yes.
I remember you telling me about it when I came over.
Is GIMP. With GIMP, you could just edit it and put whatever you want in there.
Oh, cool.
And another fun fact, since I'm talking about computer stuff, when you make a QR code, you can make it low, medium, or high redundancy, which means you can damage it and it still reads. And that's how you make one with an image in it, because literally you're damaging the code, the barcode, and erasing part of it to replace it with an image. But if you make it a redundant QR, meaning some of them you can rip off up to 50% of it and it still reads.
Wow.
Yeah. So cool stuff.
That's surprising. Is it just like think, well, okay, I'm 75% positive this is where where I'm looking for?
No, it literally is algorithmically redundant to where you can, how like, let's get into the weeds. You know how RAID works, where like,
you spray it on an ant and it kills the ant.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
or
it's bad.
If you spray it on hard drives and you have like 5 hard drives working together, one of the hard drives can die, any one of them, and the rest of them can still figure out what the data is. It looks like that.
Cool. Please don't spray RAID on your hard drives. Disclaimer. Don't do that ever.
Man.
Oh yeah, and by the way, I'm getting my computer today, David.
Oh, cool.
Wait, your laptop or your desktop?
My laptop. My desktop has been here.
I can't believe that I didn't even think for a second that I was flying to the place that you are and could have just given you your laptop.
Yeah.
Hand delivery.
My parents like shipped my desktop up here for me, and I got it, and then I realized that I don't have a keyboard or mouse.
Oh no.
Or the power cable for my monitor.
Oh no.
So I had to order all those things, and then like everything came in time but the keyboard, which
Goodwill,
you kind of need.
Goodwill. In fact, in my experience, some of the best keyboards can be found for like $2 or $3.
Why didn't I go to a Goodwill while I was up there?
The old Dell, so like all the like office spaces that liquidated or got rid of their Dell machines or whatever, the old Dell keyboards were mechanical-ish keyboards. They're pretty great for $2.
We're talking like the black ones that are like kind of thick.
Yeah, just the run-of-the-mill USB.
I probably have 50 of them.
Some of them have a smart card, cat card reader in it.
Oh yeah, they were membrane, but they felt good to type on because they had like huge chunky keys.
Yeah, big chunky keys. They felt like a mechanical keyboard, even though they weren't necessarily as good as a mechanical. So yeah, I would say go to a thrift store, bro. That's where I get all my keyboards except the one I'm using right now.
I have one. It's one of those things.
Is that a Corsair?
Steel Series.
Steel Series.
I have a Corsair. I've got one. Also has lights. Let me turn them on. There we go. Let's do keyboard. Show off keyboard. I got this boy right here. Changes colors, which I hate. So let me turn those lights back off.
But how's that mouse? How's that mouse, son?
Okay.
Oh yeah.
So I've got an IBM Model M.
We're still on keyboards, John.
This is my IBM Model M. And
hold on, let me solo that Model M for a second.
Yeah,
nice.
Here we
go.
The IBM Model M. I love this thing dearly.
Very nice, very nice.
Yeah, it's the 1987 model. And as for mice,
you're rolling a trackball, or no, you're not. It's one of those
weird ergonomic anchor mice. I've got it in a box of recycled stuff, and I was like, this will be stupid, and it's the best mouse I've ever used.
So you go like this.
Yeah. Oh, it's fantastic.
Instead of having to have the.
Yep. It sits in your hand like this. And you barely have to do anything, and it's the best mouse I've ever used, hands down.
Wouldn't expect anything less.
Yes, I love that people already expect me to have just clunky old stuff.
We're on mice now, John, if you want to show your mouse.
So I got my Steel Series.
That's a Razor? Is that what that is?
Mouse.
Steel Series.
Yeah.
Steel Series, good stuff, honestly.
I like this one a lot, actually. I had like a Logitech mouse for a long time, and then they stopped making them. And you can still buy them, just like because there's just so many of them. But they're now like double the price to buy that specific one.
Was it that one that sat on a charger?
No. It was like a real shitty one that you could like buy at Best Buy, but I liked it because I liked where the extra buttons were for gaming. They were like in like really convenient spots for my hand.
Prepare to get spammed by every single Logitech mouse that I get. So I can be like, is this the one? Is this the one? And just mail you one.
I can show you what it is if you want to know.
Yeah, let me know. If I find one, you can have it. It's almost more fun to guess, though.
I'm
got
actually
a couple of those ball mice up here.
I've got a cheapo Newegg special mouse that I actually like pretty well. I had a Logitech that the button I overclicked it. I guess I used up the clicks, and so it was like I still use it on a machine that I don't use very often. But I got this Zalman sort of like again weird like LEDs that I hate, but Zalman. It was the right price, and I just needed something that clicks. Something that I've discovered that I appreciate a lot is these buttons that change the sensitivity right on top.
The DPI buttons are sweet.
Yeah, the DPI buttons, because I switch back and forth on the same machine quite a lot between Windows and Linux, and the sensitivity is different across each one, so I can quickly nudge it up or down. There's probably a setting I could do to make it match, but I like that a lot. I'm told, though, and this might be the next mouse that I get, that this is the best, what's the quote? Best mouse ever. And I have it on good authority that this is the best mouse ever. So it might be the next one that I get, the MX Master 3S. It's $100 though, so I'm not exactly running out to buy it.
That's a badass mouse, I will say.
What is it? Does it do your math homework for you? What the hell?
No, it's just very nicely made. Hey, flop to my shared screen real quick.
Okay, hold on. I gotta look at this mouse again.
Yeah, why is this so nice? All like it doesn't even have like. Okay, so it's USB-C.
Yeah, it's USB-C, and you can unplug it, so you can make it wired or wireless, which is cool. Yeah, I bet that has a description, specs and deets.
It's got 2 scrolly thingies. I like where the extra buttons are. That's kind of nice.
It's got 7 of them. That's too many, but okay. Like, how many buttons is too many on a mouse? What do you think?
It depends on what you're using it for.
I mean, no, that's exactly perfect.
I guess you don't have to use the buttons even if they're there.
Yeah.
Only a couple of back and forth. You've got a scroll wheel.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
It's got a 1-year warranty.
6. I have 6 buttons.
Yeah.
But like I only use like.
Oh, I guess I have 7 buttons. I got 7 buttons on mine. I just didn't realize it because I can click the wheel too.
Yeah. Oh, I guess I have 7, including the wheel. Yeah.
All right, fine. 7 is fine. Jeez.
Well, like, cause like if you're using it for like gaming, first of all, like that's
because you can map to it.
You can have like 14, you know, and still use them all. And then like also if you're using it for like editing and stuff like that, you can program certain buttons to do things. Apparently 13 is the sweet spot.
I don't know I guess if I was still playing, like I used to play World of Warcraft to the point where I had custom UI and like macro keys that would do automatic stuff. I could see that, I guess, if I was, especially if I'm being competitive, which is a thing, which I guess matters. So that makes sense. Yeah.
I had like the same thing with like the macro keys and all that, and like custom UI and all that kind of stuff when I played WoW. But
what did you play as? What was your? I had like a whole bunch of alts. I had sort of an altitis where I would never max out a certain tune, but I would just re-roll because I thought it was interesting to play different ways over and over again for some reason.
I played a druid, and that's why I like playing a druid, because you can play healer, DPS, or tank.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And then I could spec basically. I just had like all the gear, and it was like whatever I needed to be, I could spec for it.
My favorite one, the one I landed on that I stayed with the longest until I quit playing, was a priest. And for the same reason I liked it, because you could do healer, which is what typically people did with priest, or you could go shadow priest and you could be DPS priest, which was pretty face melting because people didn't expect it as much, right? They see a priest and it's like, oh, it's their healer. And the next thing you know, they're melting your face off. So that was a lot of fun. Hey, David's back. So let's look at this mouse.
Oh, okay. So I had one of these for a while. It's a Rat 7. They don't make them anymore. And I
3 out of 5 stars.
So it was a Mad Catz product. What do you expect? But either way, you could take this thing, and it came with like a box of accessories, and you could like change all of the little parts and like how of everything that was like, screwed together, and you could change the weight.
So it's like if Legos made a mouse.
Yeah, and you could like even so I'm pointing at things. So on the side here, you could like adjust this screw, and it would flare out, and you could have it like perfectly tuned for your hand.
Yeah.
I liked that mouse.
I think on the bottom side too, you could change like the length of the mouse.
You could make it longer, and it had the little clip. You could just push it and slide it back, and it would go all the way back. It was really nice.
I remember those.
I don't remember what happened to mine. No, I do. I lost it to beer.
You lost it to beer?
Yeah, it survived one.
Oh, you spilled beer on it.
It survived one beer spill one time, and then I dried it all out, and it was fine. And then it's the second time that happened, it did not survive.
I used to roll with the classic Logitech trackball, the red trackball. Yeah, I used to use that with Counter-Strike, like pre-CS pre-source. Yeah, that one. That's the one. Yeah, and I got you know how like a lot of people on like that play with controllers will like flick to get like precise increments where they're pointing their gun and stuff. I would flick and then catch. I had it for some reason. I had the timing down where I could like flick the trackball and then stop it, and it would stop right. I knew where it was going to stop, and so I was able to flick and stop it. Like,
are you like a
I did okay.
God with this thing?
I mean, I wasn't as good as a lot of people, but I was better than some who had regular mouse.
Didn't you say that you guys wired one of these into a boat?
Yeah. Well, yeah. We did a lot of stuff that you're not supposed to do.
Do you have one of these?
Including shooting a hole in the boat. Like, we've done a lot of things that aren't supposed to happen.
Okay, I'm going to need to know about that. But side note, if you need one of these and would like one, let me know.
No, I'm over them. I don't like them anymore.
I kind of don't like the way it looks right now. It's kind of looking very phallic. Anyways, why did you blow a hole in a boat?
I mean, it was an accident.
I mean, that's fine. I'm going to still need the context if it's possible to be told.
It was also not entirely my fault, but I did engage a warship. It just happened to be my own. And I fixed it. I patched the hole.
Okay.
It was with a what was the successor to the M60? Let's get into military stuff.
Hang on. Deck or something?
M60 successor Navy. What did we switch to?
I love that I've known you for this long and I still keep finding out random bullshit about your Navy time.
No, not that. The Rambo gun. You know the Rambo gun.
The saw? Like the big
this guy. All right, so this is not the gun. We started. I used to be a gunner. I was primarily a Tomahawk cruise missile guy, but when you're on a boat out in the middle of the ocean, everybody kind of does everybody's job because like you don't have anybody for backup. You know what I mean? So I had one of these. Where's a good picture? This is good. Oh no, this is better. This is better. Here's the picture we'll go with. That's way better. Let's just zoom in a little bit. So I used to use this gun.
Oh my god.
And it had the same. I didn't do the ammunition around your neck thing was not as useful as it looks, unless I guess if you're Rambo, because you got to carry it somehow. Anyway, it had. You see how it's got like the barrel looks fat. That's because there's a tripod that's folded up. That's an important part of the story. So I had that, and the tripod was extended.
Isn't that a bipod?
Like this. Boom, right? So it was like this, basically. It was a little bit of a different gun because we upgraded to a different one from this. But we were doing drills. Where were we? We were off the coast of Somalia, right? So we were doing drills, and what they would do is they would randomly like announce, hey, in this case, it was Port Bridge Gunner, run up there and shoot the water. You know what I mean? And so I got picked. That was me. I was the Port Bridge Wing Gunner. And so the whole point of it was to surprise people and see what would happen if you got tasking unexpectedly. You're always like on edge like that. So no problem, whatever. Ran up there, unlocked the ammunition case, pull out the ammunition, stretched the belt of ammo across it, loaded up. And the way that I always shoot, the way that I have always shot, is that I'll take. So you've got the two like legs that it stands on, right? You've got like a gun and the tripod, and so the best way to explain it, I guess, is the bridge wing is a shelf, right? It's like a fence with a flat spot on front. And so instead of putting the the tripod on top of this little thin, it's like 6 inches wide. Instead of putting it on top like that, I would hang it over the edge so that the recoil of the gun would catch against the thing, right? So it wouldn't slip off. So I did that. And the other part of the story, and the reason that it's not entirely my fault, is that I had an idiot for a weapons officer. And he thought he knew everything, and he liked to like make people do shit in his way because he knew best, right? So I did that. And I'll wait for Gravity Crab to put his earbuds in real quick. All right, can you hear me now?
For probably about 30 seconds until somebody walks in the door.
That's fine. So basically, bridge wing is like a 6-inch shelf. I typically put the what I was saying is I typically put the tripod not just on top, but hanging over so that the recoil catches it, so it's
Makes
strong.
sense.
So I did that. My idiot weapons officer stops me, and he's like, "Hey, don't put it like that. Put it on top. It's supposed to be on top." And I'm like, I don't shoot that way. This is how I shoot, you know? He's like, put it on top. Fine. All right, it's in order. And the second thing that he does is instead of like I'm holding it like this, like you hold it, because that's how you hold it. He was like, he wanted me to hold it as if I was out in a field in a movie, prone, with my hand on top like this. You know what I mean? So this hand that's holding it up is now on top. So there's two things happening. Number one, it's the tripod is on top of the bridge wing railing, right? So that if the recoil pushes it back, it'll slip down, which is what it
God.
is. So that, and then also instead of holding it up, so if it does slip, I can hold it up. He's got me putting it up here. He's like, no, you got to shoot like this. And I'm like, fucking whatever, let's do it. So here I am, and it's, you know, and I get one round off, and of course, immediately the recoil brings the bipod down, and it lands with the barrel on the barrel. Actually, so here's the barrel. Slips back. The barrel lands on the top of the. Luckily, it didn't go further, right? And so the second round, this is an automatic rifle, right? You hold the trigger down. So the second round goes right through the bridge wing railing. If it had fallen further, if the recoil had fallen further, or if I had not stopped shooting because it obviously was a problem, the third round would have ricocheted off. So the bridge wing was actually steel. The top of it was wood. The railing's wood, but this bridge wing's steel. And so I've got my weapons officer, idiot, captain, awesome dude, Iron Mike, standing behind me. I think it was Mike. Yeah, somebody. And what could have happened easily was the round could have hit the steel and ricocheted off and like killed someone.
Oh my
You know what
God.
I mean? Luckily, it didn't do that, and all we got was a hole in the bridge wing. So I engaged a warship. That happened.
So I'm curious what Iron Mike did. Because
To get the name Iron Mike?
Did he just watch you do this dumb thing? Like, watch the weapons officer go, do what he says, and then, like, fire a fucking bullet into their ship.
He watched the whole thing. He looked at the weapons officer. He looked at me. He looked at the weapons officer again, and he turned around and went back onto the bridge. And that was enough for the weapons officer to know, like, you got to, number one, like, deal with this. There has to be some sort of incident response, right? Number two, like, what should have happened is there should have been like a safety incident report. That never happened. What actually happened was I learned how to patch and repair a piece of wood to make it look like normal. So I disassembled the bridge wing railing. I took it down, got one of the bosun's mates to show me how to plug it with another piece of wood. I actually used a brown magic marker, like a dry erase marker, to make the wood match a little bit better. Polished it up, reassembled it, put it back together. Everything's fine. So
it sounds like Iron Mike was just like, I didn't see anything, fix this.
Yeah,
like,
that's exactly it. Yeah.
Did you go back to shooting normally, like how you did before?
Yeah, I went right back to the way I did before, because obviously that wasn't going to work.
Yeah.
That wasn't a reliable way to do it. So there's that.
That's really stupid. And like, yeah, you hold it like this because you have the ground. Like,
yeah, I'm not prone in a field. Yeah, exactly.
Oh my God.
Oh man.
Yeah, Dakota's when we were Indiana. Dakota's dad wanted to go shooting in the woods because his Dakota's grandmother lives out on a farm and brought like guns out there to go shoot. And I was like, I don't really want to go shooting with my father-in-law. That doesn't sound like in the middle like.
Man!
And like he shoots like so he's 3D.
That sounds potentially scary. Yeah.
He's 3D printing his own guns.
Oh, fantastic! Good.
He's 3D
in my
printing.
Opinion.
Yeah, it's cool. I mean, and it's all he talks about is 3D printing his own guns.
Oh, okay.
So it's kind of annoying.
Yeah, he's really into that hobby.
Yeah, so he's 3D printing it, and then he's making like it's interesting what he's doing too. He's making like a plastic cast for him, and then you can put in like the metal, and then when instead of like instead of like having to like take the plastic out, it just melts away. So it's like super easy. I don't know. It's like a slip cast. That's what it is. But I don't know. He's making his own guns. Then he was complaining because the magazines he bought weren't right.
Well, he's making his own guns. It's up to him to make them work right.
Yeah. He also makes his own bullets. He gave us a bunch of bullets for Dakota's gun, which we now don't have because we live in New York and it's kind of
not a thing legal. You can have. Yeah.
It's not super legal to like just own a gun that's not registered in that state.
Yeah. It's weird state to state how different that is, right? Because I remember when I was in Virginia, I bought a gun from my neighbor. And I actually contacted the local police department and was like, hey, I'm not sure what the rules are here. I bought a gun. Do I need to register this thing? Or they were like, no, maybe write down the serial number just in case it gets lost or stolen so that you can report it and we know. But other than that, you're good.
It's different when you're a 15-minute walk from Times Square.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess so.
It's a little bit different than when you're in BFE or whatever,
That's funny. It's like the thing you mentioned a minute ago with like going shooting guns with your father-in-law. When I was in Germany, we went out to a birthday dinner for one of the kids, and my I guess brother-in-law. So my wife's brother, his English is pretty good, but it's pretty good. You know what I mean? It's not native or fluent. So he wanted to show me something completely like not intimidating. But the way he said it was, he was like, what did he say? It was something to the effect of like, we need to take a walk. You know what I mean? So we're all sitting at the table. And so my wife's brother looks at me and says, Dave, come with me. Let's take a walk. And I was just like, what did I do? Shit,
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Come with me. Let's take a walk.
It's like
I was like,
it sounds like one of those talks that's like. It sounds like one of those talks. It's like, we gotta talk about what are your intentions with my daughter, kind of thing.
Yeah, exactly.
Like,
we gotta talk to you.
Well, we're married, so I don't know what to tell you, dude.
Got to talk to you about how you're treating my sister, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
But no, it was completely, literally, it was very like objectively. He just wanted to take a walk so that he could show me like, here's where we went ice skating last year. Check this out. They have this thing. They flood the inside of the building and they make it an ice rink. But yeah, so that happens sometimes.
Cool.
Yeah. Well, that's what I've been up to.
You want to answer some questions? I remember that we had some questions.
I wanted to bring up Jacob Wayne had one about New Year's resolutions. Do you have any of those?
Yeah, and I already broke mine.
It's been 11 days, bro.
Yeah. I broke it a couple days ago.
So the question, what did he say? What are y'all's resolutions and what do you think's possible for 23? I'm excited to go hard on Den and make some awesome content this year. I'm getting back into making travel videos since I took a hiatus when I got too busy. I'm already in a good position this year to make waves, and I'm happy I'm connected with you fellow denizens. Likewise, Jacob Wayne. I saw he had a post about, what is that game? The Sandbox that was featured on the last update show on Tuesday. I guess that was yesterday. And it was like really well formatted and good content. So I'm looking forward to seeing more of that from him. Tell us about, though, John, your already broken New Year's resolution.
So I already broke my New Year's resolution. It's my New Year's resolution was to not go to the gym.
To not go to the gym.
To not work out and to not go to the gym.
You just weren't going to be one of those people.
I figured that's the better way to get myself to go. Because I
reverse psychology.
I always break my New Year's resolution. So why not make like shitty resolutions and then break them? You know?
Yeah, you got to speak to your rebellious side. You're like, I know I'm going to not want to do what I told myself to do because I'm a rebel. Yeah. So I might as well tell myself to do the opposite of what I objectively want. I get it. Yeah, that makes sense.
Exactly. Today's day 3 of going to the gym. So 3 days, I only lasted 9 days.
Man, what a failure. Damn. What a failure.
Not super
You failed successfully.
Mm-hmm.
I'm working on it.
Task failed successfully.
But yeah.
What did I just walk back into? New Year's resolutions?
New Year's resolutions. Yeah, Jacob Wayne is he's excited to make some more content, which he's started to do already. For Den, go hard on Den, which I am too, honestly. Like I'm fired up again and not like stagnating as much, which is fantastic.
You were reading his post, and I thought that was you stating your own thing. Because it's like, I'm excited to go hard on Den and make travel content. You just got back from a
That's true.
vacation.
Yeah.
I thought this was just your resolution.
I mean, you've never seen Jacob Wayne and myself in the same room at the same time. So, I mean, the most it's ever been is somebody in chat that's, chatting at the same time as talking. I could just be on the keyboard.
This is not a Bruce Wayne and Batman thing. You're not the same person.
No? Okay.
I know these things. We're good. You can't fool me, Dave.
No, my actual resolutions. So I've got a few. One of them is to basically start walking the walk a little bit more, because there's a lot of things that I know how to do and that I talk about how it would be better to do it this way that I just don't do. You know what I mean? Simple stuff. And it could apply to all kinds of stuff. Like, for example, I've been super lazy about blowing out my Windows installation and just using Linux primarily. Mostly because I have an NVIDIA card, and NVIDIA sucks when it comes to Linux. Like, I can't do conference calls reliably because my desktop freezes up. Their drivers just blow, apparently. So I got to get a Radeon card. AMD is awesome. I recommend that to anybody. But other stuff too. Like, I want to de-Google a bit. I don't want to rely on like Google for everything. So with that, I expect to make some tutorials on how to do that stuff. So it's a 2-part. So I want to start decentralizing myself a little bit and like using a lot of the software that I talk about that I don't use as much as I should. And then at the same time, I'm going to run into growing pain or like trouble, like adoption issues and try to have to figure out ways around problems. So I want to take that experience and apply it probably in the tutorials layer with just like, hey, here's how you move from Google Drive to either hosting your own data or some other not Google thing or whatever. So that's one of them. I may have forgotten the rest.
Nice. That's cool though.
But yeah, that's a big one for me, just for like quality of life stuff. Because it's super easy to be like convenient stuff. It's super convenient. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But then it's like, man, sometimes it's just creepy whenever Google reminds me of something like that I didn't tell it, that it just gleaned information that it gleaned from like my email or whatever. And I'm like, fuck, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that kind of thing. Does that ever freak you out, or is that just something that some people care about and others don't?
Yeah, I feel like when I was a kid, I was thinking about this yesterday actually. As a kid, we grew up with our parents going, don't give Google and Facebook all your information and shit like that.
Mm-hmm.
And then now our parents just easily give in to whatever the hell it is. Like, my dad's more active on Facebook than I am, like all that kind of shit. Like, and just doing stuff without thinking, and like all those questions. It's like, what's your favorite, whatever. I'm like, they're just using that to figure out passwords for you. Like, stop.
Yeah, no, that's literally that's part of there's a lot of reasons that Trump won his election, but that's part of the reason was if you look into the Cambridge Analytica thing, what they were doing was they were literally putting out all of these surveys for people to take, like, which superhero are you most similar to, right? And you would take the survey, like, what are your preferences here? What is your opinion on that? Yada, yada, yada. And then they were profiling people. Well, that, but also fishing for like fingerprinting people or how, like, typing people.
What is your personality based on this?
Yeah. And then they would know how to exactly who to target with specific ads that are written different ways to manipulate people based on what they learned from their little superhero look-alike quiz, that kind of thing. So yeah, it's on one hand, it's like it sounds like tinfoil hat shit, but it's real. And more that's becoming the case.
It sounds like tinfoil hat shit like 30 years ago.
Yeah.
But like when we were kids, that sounds like tinfoil hat shit.
Yeah.
But if you were to give this to like a high schooler now, they'd be like, obviously.
Obviously that's why they're doing it. Yeah.
Yeah, like the TikTok is designed as a way for, China to spy on people. Like whatever.
Yeah.
We can like do that.
Yeah, and Zoom too. Like everybody's using Zoom, and the CCP has literally, like, somebody that was monitoring a call of somebody, and it was like a Hong Kong based conference call or something. I don't remember the specifics exactly, but like whoever was monitoring that accidentally joined the call and showed up in the middle of the conference, like on the screen. It was like, oh shit, no, they're literally watching. It's literally a backdoor kind of thing. Which realistically, I mean, if you zoom way out, you've got nation states playing games with everybody's lives, like at some level it gets to the point where it's like, anyway, I guess what I'm saying is all of this technology must be really useful to certain agencies that are plugged into it, like when Snowden came out and revealed that the NSA was plugged into, for example, Facebook and Google's networks to just know everything that Google knows. Just they're literally wired into it, that kind of thing. Or that AT&T's fiber network was split in the Pacific Northwest to duplicate all internet traffic going over it to go somewhere else for monitoring, shit like that you find out later and you think, man, if that was 20 years ago, or if that was 40, 50 years ago, and you assume any amount of advancement per year since then, it's like, dude, that's wild. How many cameras and microphones do you have in your house, on your phone, on your webcam, on your Alexa, stuff like that? So that's part of the reason I want to try to my resolution is about trying to opt out as much as possible, which in itself is hard. I deleted my Facebook finally, but it was a process of like, I think it took me 2 hours or something. There's not like a clean, easy way to do it. And anything that's attached to your, like, if you have any business account or any page for your band or any stuff like that, it tries to delete all of that. It can't just like let them live without you kind of thing. So it's difficult to back out of things once you get really, really like snared into it
enough.
Here's
the fun one. All those sites where you have to log in, where you can log in using you can create an account. You can use your Google account or your Facebook account.
Log in with Facebook. Yeah.
Yeah. All those people that use their Facebook to log in now can't log into those, so they can't delete their Facebook. Like,
that's a good point. Yeah. It's like, man, you have accounts, unrelated accounts that you've used Facebook's login for. Yeah. Where it's like, oh man, if I get rid of Facebook, how do I exist and have my other accounts?
I don't use Facebook to log into anything.
I don't think I ever have. I use Google though for that, for a couple of things. I nothing important, but things that I just wanted to check out real quick just to see how it worked,
It's so easy, man. I just use Google. It's so easy to do.
Yeah. I use them for like meetings now, and we actually can't use Zoom, just company policy, because of the CCP thing. Because like they're big on corporate espionage. So companies should expect that anything they say in a meeting over Zoom is not a secret anymore, you know?
Yeah.
But then, like, what was I going to say? I forget now.
You use like Google Meetups and stuff, right?
Yeah. I use Google Meet for basically everything now.
You can use StreamYard also.
You could use StreamYard. I was thinking about that because, like, you don't have to broadcast. You can just come on like we are now and just have a little meeting that isn't broadcasting.
Exactly.
So there's options. Yeah.
Did you ever use was it Riverside? Did you ever look at that program?
No. What do they do?
Riverside.fm. It's StreamYard, but it saves locally as opposed to on like the internet. So you get a better quality video.
Got you. That must be why. So if that's competitive to StreamYard, that must be why at the end of last year, StreamYard came out with that thing where you can save locally the audio and video files. So even if your connection's bad, you have the source file saved locally.
Okay, so it will do that now?
Yeah, they must have done that because of like Riverside, for example, doing it. Because if it's, this is actually not a bad demonstration of the difference.
Yeah.
Shit that can happen when it's over the internet, streaming versus having the actual locally recorded file. Yeah,
because I was thinking about that for my stuff. I was like, if I'm going to do all these interviews, I don't want it to be janky.
For sure.
Stuff,
yeah.
So. But yeah. Okay.
So you and David are both going to be doing some interviews and stuff. That's cool.
I'm hoping. I get my laptop today.
If that goes well, I hope it does for you.
I get my laptop today. I figured out my lighting situation, so I am now like properly lit and all that kind of stuff. I love how anybody that's listening right now, which is probably just like 3 people, are a little confused, but it'll be cool.
Yeah, it's like one of a handful of things that are in process, basically.
There's some cool stuff coming now that I have a computer again, and I'm not working off of a MacBook Air, which did very little for me. Let's see. We can see what other questions there are if you want, by the way.
Yeah, I was just looking at this from I Am, who wanted to make it today, but wasn't able to, had to. I hope everything turns out okay. It sounds like there was some issue that involved the hospital and a curveball in life. So best of luck to you, sir. You're a good person, and I hope that works out the best it can. But also, he brings up, for example, I hope to have the courage. This is something that I want to do too. Maybe we can do some of it together, actually, collaborate. Because in one of the replies here, I Am says, I hope to have the courage to not only do videos on parallel systems, economies, and societies, but also do a vlog on supporting your best friend and spouse when facing a life-threatening diagnosis. Anything that people have experience with is worth writing about, in my opinion. One of my favorite quotes from Douglas Adams is that humans are unique in their ability to learn from the experience of others and also in their reluctance to do so. So sharing your experience and writing about it, I think, is always helpful to somebody out there, especially if it's just up on the internet where anybody can, maybe somebody doesn't look at it for 2 years, but they stumble upon your vlog or your blog later and like, oh, this is actually helpful information.
And if you think somebody doesn't care, just look at Cambridge Analytica.
Oh, they care. They want to know everything.
Somebody cares.
And the people who matter listen. That's true. But yeah, so with that, like, there's if you look at the links and the notes in today's post at the bottom, tomorrow there's an episode of World Blockchain Roundtable that is on parallel systems, which is interesting. Parallel systems is like basically just you're not going to get rid of the system. It's ingrained and it's entrenched. So what we can do, though, is operate outside of that in parallel systems where you're still part of the system, but you're also part of a parallel system. And that can be economic with like, for example, one of my favorite projects is Monero, and they're really big on parallel systems and creating parallel infrastructure that isn't necessarily meant to replace or at least immediately replace the existing systems, but more so to get an option going that over time becomes very good and usable and convenient. And eventually down the road, if we ever need a lifeboat, we can just hop to that one, you know, because it's a lot harder to spin one up from scratch whenever you need it than it is if it's already there. So there's a lot of focus on that. And that's interesting. And Den too, in a way, is kind of a parallel infrastructure because, for example, I won't say who it is, but I'm meeting later today with some with an organization who wants to use Den for their DAO for their company, and it's interesting because what you can do on Den is you can come in and you can create a custom layer, and in this case it'll be a private one, so nobody can see it except for them. It's just for their business or their company or their organization, and they can use the tools like the governance tools to vote on, to make decisions and things like that. So more and more we're seeing interest in how to do that, even to the point where the state of Wyoming has created a legal structure to allow it to happen. They have a LLC, DAO, structured LLC, as a recognized legal entity. So you can have a parallel decentralized company that isn't a traditional centralized company, but it can also have an entity to interface with the traditional legacy system, so that if you need to hire a lawyer or you go to court or something, then you can do that with the traditional system while also operating on the side in your parallel system. So it's cool to see, you know, more and more of that coming around, which is another reason I agree with the earlier, what did I had up here? I am for I am talked about. Yeah, right here says, I think 2023 Den user growth could be in our future finally. And I think so too, just based on what I'm seeing. It has been stagnant for a little while, but we've also been in a bear market for a while when it was really like, you know, crypto was hype, blockchain was hype. Everybody was like, oh shit, everybody check this stuff out. There's a lot more people looking at it. And unfortunately, things that had nothing to do with blockchain has given kind of the whole industry a black eye, and people have been kind of like standoffish. But that could be good for us too, because we, although we do all the blockchain stuff, we're pretty well focused on being not about that. So using it under the hood, but also being as familiar as possible on that. So yeah, maybe I am for I am and I can team up on some of this stuff, because it sounds like we're aligned in some of the stuff we want to do, and with our resolutions for 23 and things like that. So cool. If you want, we what we dove into here, I wasn't sure if you wanted to get into it or not, but we went into sort of some macro political nation state, the U.S. is a failed experiment type conversation.
Sure. Let's I'll pull it up too.
Yeah. So I am says, unfortunately in 2023, I'm not very optimistic in regards to economic growth, lower inflation, food security, or shrinkage of centralizing power structures. I foresee continued growth in government tyranny. I'm trying to be white-pilled in this area, but find it difficult not to fall into the nihilistic black pill track. Now, I'm not fluent on all the different colors of pills, because there's white pill, black pill. This is actually the first time I've seen white pill. Black pill, red pill, blue pill, orange pill, right? But from what I understand, black pill is basically, he calls it a nihilistic track. I've seen it described more as a realism, like not like.
I think realism and nihilism aren't super far apart from each other.
Yeah,
anymore.
maybe you're right. Yeah.
Yeah. but that's fine. It's just the way it works because
Yeah.
it's all cyclical, right? We've all been here before. There's times of slumps. You know, there is like Nixon, all that, like, you know what I mean? Like there's times where we're down and there's depressions and stuff like that, and then there's times of growth and optimism. So it's just trying to stay optimistic through the nihilism is how it is, because we're not unique. This has all happened before, and it'll keep happening again because of your Douglas quote.
Yeah.
The inability to listen
To learn
and
from the experience of others.
Yeah. So there we are. So yeah, I mean, like,
Hyperion Frequency says that nihilists believe themselves to be realists, but they're still delusional.
Yeah.
We're probably all delusional to some extent.
We're all living in our own reality to an extent. So
yeah,
we're all delusional to some point. I'd say, like, what I love thinking about is the fact that I'm usually wrong. And that makes me feel good. So whenever I'm like, shit's gonna hit the fan, it's like, you know,
but
what?
I'm usually wrong.
Things are probably gonna look up. It's kind of like me with my New Year's resolution, right?
That's I love your approach. I love how you're you're using reverse psychology on yourself, or to something, or whatever you call that.
Exactly.
You know?
Well,
but statistically, you're right. Typically, we're wrong.
Yeah.
Like sometimes we're right about stuff, and that's that can feel good. But if you look at it, it's like if you're worried about something and you're sure that something's going to happen and it's going to be bad, odds are you're probably wrong, or it's a coin toss.
The reality of it, I think, in my opinion, the reality of it is the fact that you and I don't have enough information to actually make a real guess or a real observation, or have a real idea of understanding of what's going on. For example, I was in Indiana with the father-in-law, and they were all telling me what was happening in Russia and what needs to happen, and if this happens and this is going to happen, he's going to use the nukes and all this kind of stuff. And then it's like, you can go and you can listen to their frequencies, like their military channels, and listen to them talk to each other. I'm like, do you really think if there was information that was pertinent and important,
that they wouldn't encrypt it?
Yeah, like we would just be able to go on YouTube and listen to it.
Yeah.
Like, no, this is shit they don't care about and they don't mind us knowing.
Or even more likely is it's shit that they want us to think is important, that they want people to read about or to listen into, because it misdirection, and that's classic, like propaganda, even, like make people think something that you want them to think. And we've all done that to each other for forever, like you used, I've said this before, but the internet and Facebook and stuff like that is so convenient. We used to have to airdrop like propaganda pamphlets and leaflets into cities to get information and ideas into people's heads. And now we can just like pay Facebook to target them with advertising or something like that, So there's all kinds of like psyop head games going on. And you're right. We don't have all the information. We have, I read this book by I forget his name. He was a chemist or something. Anyway, he has this way of looking at that information problem about like perception as, we live in a castle, and he puts basically our body is our castle, and we have these windows, these tiny windows that look out, and we have our eyes and our ears and our sense of smell and taste, and we can feel, we have sense of touch, stuff like that. And these are all just like different types of little windows that are looking out of our castle. But all we can see is this narrow point of view that these different sensors can pick up. And so you derive opinions from that, or you form opinions based on that derived information. And so nobody really knows what's going on.
And so and then hypothetically, you can open up enough windows that you could see enough of the picture, and then in reality, if you're not actually out there in the field feeling and touching and sensing what's going on over there, you're not really still getting the full picture. So like, no matter how many windows and YouTube videos or whatever we look at here, who's to say that information's even correct unless we were on the ground somewhere where we need to be, or in the room where
that's exactly right. And that's one of the reasons, and this may seem abstract, but I swear it's real. It's like it's the same reason that I'm so very what's the word? I'm a proponent of what Dragon Chain's doing with their software, because what they do specifically is they take, for the first time in human history, this has never been possible before, they take a piece of information, a data point, some sort of information, and you can measure, like scientifically measure objectively how true something is, right? Without having to trust someone to be telling the truth, without having to like have necessarily expertise in that particular field or whatever. For the first time, you can now measure how true something is. And that's never been done before. And that's what they got like one of their patents for in the US. And it's super special and unique and interesting. And I just imagine, now we can't go back in time and apply that to information that's already been written, but we can start now recording things in that way. And if you apply that to written history and you apply that even militarily, if you want to look at it that way, if you apply that to information that you want to be able to know if it's actionable or not, or if it's just a psyop, or if it's just propaganda, or if it's somebody who's lying to you. Now you can actually independently validate something with a measurement, with an actual measurable proof number of how true it is, which is, to me, the implications of that are pretty crazy. Like, it kind of fucks everything up if you assume that a lot of the world runs on manipulating people to do stuff. Like, you could even say that it could be, I don't know about dangerous, but it's highly disruptive. So
dangerous is a good word for it.
Hyperion Frequency has some opinions. Also, he's going to post over in the advice layer. So I'll check that out and I will reply to it.
Oh, that sounds fun.
Yeah.
Also, I'm sorry I vanished for a little while there. I had to go sell a laptop to some people.
It's all right, Houdini. You can disappear sometimes.
Hey, he vanished badly. Let's not do that. Yeah.
Some more stuff from Hyperion. None of us are unique, and yet we all have a different sense of self, perspective, insight, etc. That which makes us the most unique is what humanity loves to condemn.
So I think like humanity condemns it, right? Because like we're trying to all be like humans together. We don't want to be like, we don't want somebody to stand out because we want to see ourselves and everybody else. So if you're different than me, then like we're not just one human.
Yeah, and that can be scary. Like, people are scared of change sometimes, and also people, especially when you don't understand why someone's different, they seem weird to you, maybe, or it's like, or maybe they seem unreasonable to you. Like, why are you that way? Why aren't you like us? It could be like an instinctual thing too. If you think about just like tribalism and like
instinctual, like concern and
ingrained, like, why are we afraid of spiders? That kind of thing,
Isn't there like some kind of a study, or not a study, but just a theory on one of the reasons that the whole like feeling of uncanny is because okay.
My sister talks about that a lot. It's called Uncanny Valley or something.
Yeah, the Uncanny Valley feeling. So it's like if you see something that looks like a person, but it's just something is off about it, it gives you this weird feeling. And there's like a theory that's because there were different we know there were different like subgroups of people at one point, but we were just so ingrained to kill them or they would kill us that now it's just like in our bodies to be concerned about things that look different.
Yeah, if it was a survival, let's say, if you believe in evolution, which I do, that some mutation genetically made a type of person predisposed to like defend themselves against things that were different than them. For example, I could imagine a certain time in human history where that was really beneficial to survival.
Oh yeah, very important.
You know what I mean? I could see that being something. I could see that being a trait that ended up outperforming maybe people that were nice to each other. For example,
well, when you think about it, we have even back until I'm going to say 1800s. Let's go that close with like wars in history and stuff like that. People just it's trying to figure out where I'm going with this. Okay, let me reevaluate this and come back to it.
Okay.
That's fine.
So I got the next thing. All right, you ready for it?
All right, what's the next thing?
So I get called a curmudgeon a lot.
Oh yeah?
I get called a grumpy curmudgeon a lot, mostly by my wife, and she's not true. She's not wrong, but I think because of like what we talked about in my viewpoint of we don't have enough information to like actually know what's going on, so why are we talking about it, is a very curmudgeon-y approach, and it's fun to speculate. It's fun to guess. It's fun to pretend we're in the know and in the cool kids group and part of the inner circle, right?
This is why I love reading about conspiracy theories, because the best ones are plausible.
Yeah, but I think you just have to remember that it's not real. So I tend to be called a curmudgeon because I kind of just go, well, you don't have enough information, and what makes you think you're special that Russia's going to put their military ideas on
you
YouTube?
Have insight.
Yeah, like what? Why? Well, how are you the one thinking of this, not the military experts that have been doing this their entire life?
You just described my father-in-law.
Yeah, you were in the Army Reserve, and you go to, and you're too out of shape to go to boot camp or the military training once a month.
Part of it is like, and this is part of the reason that I feel like censorship perpetuates the problem that it's trying to stop. Is like you have situations where somebody will say something on, for example, YouTube, and they'll either get their account banned or they'll get demonetized where they can't earn from that video or something like that, right?
That's a huge issue right now, side note.
And then they'll go and put it up on Rumble and they'll say, YouTube censored me. The government censored me for saying this, so it must be true. Right. Jesus. And then people look at like, oh, see, if there wasn't something to it, why would they care enough to censor
maybe it's to stop the spread of false information.
And so that's, that's one of the issues. But there's a lot of angles on that too.
I mean, there's you throw a stone, you're gonna find an idiot. So like it's hard to like fix every problem. At a certain point, like you're not gonna be hacker proof kind of deal.
Which that's a really good. I wanted to say also that part of the reason I'm so optimistic going into 2023 about like how the road forward, the path forward kind of thing, is because I think I've finally given up on trying to like save the system from itself. Like, who am I to like think that I can fix what's wrong with America? You know what I mean? Why should I fret over that instead of just living my life differently the way that I want to live it, and just like not just opting out of that? It's like, fine, you guys can have all the money. Well, I'll just go use different money. You guys can have, you guys can own all the things. I'll just
own things differently.
Own things differently, yeah. Because like that's really the best thing that I can do, and it's probably the best thing if we collectively do something like that. It's the best form of protest.
So. Why do you think I do comedy?
Is it therapeutic?
Because you're good at it.
Well,
you are good at it.
It's because everything else is a stupid and futile gesture. Which is now I'm ripping off a line.
I agree with Hyperion frequency here.
I appreciate it. I appreciate it. Sometimes the simplest idea is the right one, right?
Yeah.
But like,
what is that, Occam's razor or whatever?
Sometimes the most likely outcome is probably the outcome.
Yeah.
Or the most simple one, yeah.
but that's why, honestly, I think that's why I like comedy so much, because like everything else is like subjective, and then also, who am I to think that I'm gonna be the one that's gonna invent new money or whatever the hell it is, right? Who am I the one to do this? Like, if I can just do what I think is fun, which is laugh and make other people laugh and create something stupid, and while subtly getting some weird point across about how everything's a stupid and futile gesture, then
that's something that I really appreciate about comedy too, which is like, and just art in general, and memes. If you ever hear Joe on like one of the other shows talk about memes, it's like one of those ways to get a point across to people that would typically put their fingers in their ears and not listen to it, la 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 la, that kind of thing. But if you can make something funny because it's true, even though you don't want to admit that it's true, if you're laughing and you recognize that it's funny because it's true, maybe that'll make you think about it a little bit more.
That's true, but there's also a danger in that. It's like like reading the dust cover, or for a more modern take, just reading the headline of a BuzzFeed article. Like, I've read the headline of this must be the information in it. No, it was
deriving that. Yeah,
it was to hook you into reading the rest of the article.
Yeah, you know how many times I've clicked on a damn article thinking that it's going to be some cool information, then go to read it, I'm like,
it sucks.
This is a movie review.
Or it literally, several times I've read articles that literally contradict the headline.
Yeah.
Like, this is not what the article says, but the headline got you to click on it, and a lot of people don't click on it. They just read the headline.
You mean journalistic integrity doesn't exist
in their head
anymore?
In their head, they develop a story and they say, oh yeah, I read something about that. They assume what's in the article. And this happens with, more dangerously, I think, happens with like, I don't know about other countries, but in the US, it's very common to have legal bills and stuff written in that way, where the title of the bill, we had one in Florida called Yes on One for the Sun. What does Yes on One for the Sun sound like? Sounds like a pro solar power bill.
Yeah.
Right? It was to make solar power more difficult to use in Florida so that the legacy power infrastructure could be more profitable. It was literally an anti-solar bill called Yes on One for the Sun.
It's all about naming them. Think about it. Citizens United. It's not for citizens.
Right. No.
Like,
it's to give like corporate entities the power that citizens have. They're like, to make them, what is it? Corporate personhood? Is that what it's called?
Corporate personhood?
Yeah. Citizens United says that a corporation is a person and money is speech.
Okay.
And like, you think about like all like the marriage equality acts and stuff like that, or like all the like family. I forget what they're called. Like, they're always like family first or something like that kind of thing.
God,
that's just like, oh, this is literally not what the bill is for. But
this isn't about family at all.
Yeah. So I don't know. People are awful. So I'd rather make fun of them rather than put myself out there.
If you ever sell merch, that's your shirt. People are awful, and I'd rather make fun of them.
That's great. I'm gonna write it down. That sounds like why am I saying I'm gonna steal that? I said it.
I'm gonna steal that from me.
Are awful. And
well, you do have the two people in your head where one of them's trying to trick the psychology of the other, So there's that.
I hate those two people. You only have two? You lucky bastard.
Yeah, but one speaks in Spanish and one's in German. I don't fucking know what they're saying. No, I like that. I like that as a segment. People are awful, and I'm gonna make fun of them. And it's like the person
would be such a good little 5-minute thing.
That's actually not bad, because you could say like, here's something that I could get angry about. Here's something that could bother me, but I'd rather make fun of them.
You know what grinds my gears? Nothing.
Who watched the freaking of our group here? Who watched the freaking the election? Not the election, but the Speaker of the House stuff.
I didn't. I heard about it a couple of times.
I needed to test somebody's network connection, and I was like, I'll just do a live stream and see if that sorts it. So I was watching it for a while there. It was like, my God, how the hell do you have 15 different attempts to get your own party to like you?
15?
15 different rounds of voting.
15, like
15.
actually 15.
15 rounds.
Same person? They didn't just like try somebody else?
No, 15 from McCarthy and what the hell the other guy who lost the name? I can't remember.
Wasn't it Matt Gaetz?
No, it was
it Matt Gaetz?
No,
well, Matt Gaetz changed his vote to not present or something, or not, like he opted out. Somebody.
Oh my god.
That's something speaking of conspiracy theories, that's something I did see, was Matt Gaetz was voting one way for like every round, and then literally somebody walked up and whispered into his ear, and he had this weird look on his face, and then he changed his vote.
Oh yeah, that's exactly. That's not a conspiracy. That's just how politics works.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So.
Also, I was watching it. They failed the one vote at one point, and they were like, "All right, it's 3 p.m. Let's recess till 10 p.m." I'm like, "What?
Let's take a
Why?"
break.
Like,
I was watching one of those late night shows. I think it was like Seth Meyers or something, and he was like, "Nothing says you're working hard for the people like taking a break for 7 hours."
Like taking a 7-hour break. And of course, and the best part is the guy that stood up and was like, "I vote we do a break." And obviously, everyone was like, no. And it was like, I want to count the yeas and nays. And then suddenly it was like, all right, screw it. I guess we'll take a break.
Yeah, because so like the way Robert's Rules of Order work, it's the biggest, which the Senate rules are just very similar to Robert's Rules of Order. It's just the biggest bullshit. You can count, you can like yeas and nays, and then you can do like a by person vote. Like everybody has to say their actual vote out loud.
Oh,
there's
my
like a
God,
whole
and
bunch
it
of
takes
different ways.
so much time.
Isn't it like everybody can say it out loud, and if it sounds like one obviously had it over the other, then that's good enough?
So
in some state situation.
So basically, what it is you can do that, but then somebody can call for like another vote, and then the speaker, whoever it is, can be like no, or they can be like, okay, since somebody called for it, we have to do this now.
And that's exactly what happened.
Yeah. You can literally stop in the middle and be like, I call for a roll call vote because I believe there's absence of a quorum. So you can just stop whatever you're doing and say that, hey, I just need to check in and make sure everybody's still here.
To make sure we have enough people to actually make this decision in the first place.
Because basically what happens is people will leave throughout the day, especially if you look at like appointment hearings. Because like nobody wants to sit through fucking hours and hours of appointing somebody, especially when they've already been told who to vote for. So why would they sit there? So what happens is people will leave, and so at a certain point there won't be enough people to continue interviewing the people.
Seem like a thing we should be able to do.
I think it's kind of like saying you have to be here for your job,
right?
And if
meanwhile,
people
like if you remember during the lockdowns and stuff, I was reading so many instances of like employers watching people on their webcams to make sure they're at their desk for the entire time that they're there. You have to be at your desk, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
What was the oh shit moment there? What was that?
So I bought a USB like dongle thing just for like whatever, just to connect whatever to it, right? Because I needed headphones to connect to my computer. So I was like, I'll use my headphones to connect it to it. So this is what I bought.
Mm-hmm.
I forgot to return it back to Amazon because it doesn't work very well. It like constantly just cuts out. And then I looked at it. It's like, it's US. It's like a Bluetooth 4.0 instead of like the 5.0 that we're at now.
Oh God!
Right now. And then I forgot to return it. So
gotcha.
It's $12 I need to send back.
Yeah, there's some
throw
money.
It out the window.
I'm going to return it to Amazon. What are you talking about?
It's a $12 gift card at this point if you return it. Yeah.
I have a gift card to Amazon. I just realized that.
It reminds me of the dongle thing is a meme where on one pane it had it doesn't matter, but it was Elon Musk and Steve Jobs, and Jobs side it said creates problem, creates dongle, sells dongle. And I was like, that's actually a pretty good dig at Apple, I thought, because everything is like dongle life, that kind of thing.
I still can't get over the fact that I just can't have a single full-size USB port on a current MacBook.
I don't even like the fact that I can't have everything's wireless. So I bought a laptop for the first time. I bought a computer that did not have any network ports on it. No.
I don't like that at all. I think mine does have one, but maybe.
Gotta buy a dongle, USB to Ethernet.
Yeah, I am glad that like things are starting to go to USB-C now. It's just so much faster and so much easier.
I do like
yeah.
USB-C a lot.
It also eliminates the USB paradox.
You don't have to like plug it in 8 different ways to figure out which of the 2 ways it plugs in.
Yeah.
Fun fact, there's actually a visual way to know which way to plug those in.
Yeah, isn't it that the emblem is supposed to be on the upside? Like the USB symbol is up?
Yeah, I never thought about that until recently, and somebody pointed it out, and I was like,
I
oh,
learned
I'm an
that
idiot. Okay.
I learned that in an A+ certification class.
What if it's a vertical? What if it's a vertical USB port?
Well, then whatever.
God.
What is up? What is up really
like
in the universe?
Back of a computer.
I didn't even think about that. All right, that's a problem.
Up is relative, you know. Here it's up, China it's down. Like, you know, everything is relative.
All right, quick computer question: how many USB ports are you currently using, and how many do you have open?
Oh God.
Okay.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Well, actually using versus populated, I'm using
Populated counts.
I'm using 4. I have 7 populated, and I have 3 open. I got a lot of ports.
Can I slide by on a technicality?
Of course.
So I'm using.
There's no right
There's
or
no
wrong
points.
answer.
So I'm using. Hold on. No. So I'm using technically 7 or 8 or so ports, right, for everything I've got hooked up. But it's only one USB-C connection to my laptop.
Oh, you got the what do you call that? The splitter hub. There's the word.
Quick tour. Okay, I use this nice Apple monitor that goes to this Dell proprietary powered dock that's got a DisplayPort connection for this on it, which then runs out to all that stuff, and that all goes to my laptop, which lives tucked up in a drawer connected with one USB-C connector and the audio cable.
That is one thing I like about where Thunderbolt went in USB-C and all of that, is that you can literally just plug in one thing now. And
it's great.
As long as it's an Intel one, because AMD is not really up to speed on this.
Currently using an AMD one, and it's A-OK.
Even though it isn't their fault. It isn't their fault. But yeah, you can plug in one USB-C port, and you can get monitors, network, mouse, keyboard, everything.
The only finicky
charge it. You can charge your battery through the same one. All that.
Yeah, this hub takes a like a Dell 130 watt Dell power adapter for one of their docks, so it just runs power into it. That's the one finicky thing, and I'm pretty sure it's Linux because, of course, it is. That sometimes I'll plug in the USB-C connection and it will charge. Other times it will not. Just kind of gotta play guess.
Yeah.
So
my wife uses that a lot, but I don't.
I blame Linux.
I'm currently using 7 ports. 7 are filled. So I currently have 7, but one of them is just the dongle for my wireless keyboard, but I'm not using the wireless keyboard. The keyboard just doesn't have a place for you to put the USB thing in it, so that you
to not lose it.
So I have the keyboard off, but I have it in my computer. So I don't lose it.
There's nothing under the battery compartment, really?
That's where it is on the mouse, is in the battery compartment.
You tell me.
Where's the battery go in?
Oh, open the battery compartment.
Here.
Open the battery compartment. Yeah, that would be my. There should be a little slot in there. Is there nothing? Well, that is poor design.
You give Logitech a phone call.
Is that
Logitech? I have that keyboard right here.
Yeah, and it's Logitech. I figured it'd be a good one. That's why I ordered it.
This is a great way to round out the end of this show today. It's like show and tell and troubleshooting.
So
I hate to admit it, but he is correct.
Okay, fair enough.
Why do you hate to admit it? I'm allowed to be right sometimes.
I hate it when John's right.
I like how I could, without these in my ear, I could hear John angrily being like, "What do you mean you hate to admit it?"
Yeah. See, the mouse has one.
Yeah.
The mouse
totally.
has a spot for it.
Now, isn't that a wireless mouse and keyboard combo?
Yeah.
Then it goes in the mouse.
Well,
It uses the same dongle.
I guess that's true.
Yeah.
Interesting.
All right, so now I have a free port.
Okay, we solved it.
Issue.
We improve John's life. That's what we do on this show.
Damn, Dave, we're still good computer techs, ain't we?
I'm not. You guys actually do, because I do have another thing I have to do. Is I want to get I want to do like all of my editing and stuff on the Mac. I'm not on the Mac, on the computer that
Is in the mail.
That's getting here today. Which is like a nice computer, right?
It's a really good machine, honestly. Pain in the ass, fans define, but a good machine.
Yeah. Doesn't know if they sent you the wrong one 3 times.
I cannot believe they sent me ones that were this big at some point. This fan was huge, and it's have this little quarter.
Yeah, so I want to like do all my editing and stuff on that, but like working on a laptop for long periods of time isn't like really good for you. So I need to now get like a dock that I can plug into my nice monitor in, I guess, my Area 51 closet.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you can run like Gravity Crab set up there where you have it docked up.
You just plug your laptop in when you're ready to work, and boom, everything turns
now
on.
It's a desktop.
Good.
Yeah, I've never done that before, so now
It's pretty nice.
What to buy and stuff.
I never had thought it was going to be something that I wanted to do, but I mean, since I need my laptop here and at home so often, it's the only thing that really makes sense. But God, it's really convenient to being able to like do something here, and then when I get home, everything I was working on is just here because it's on my laptop.
That's what I like too. Is like I can go work. Like I can go. Like I like to do like, it's fun like getting stoned and doing like graphic design stuff. So I like to like late at night or like at night when we're watching TV or something, I'll like work on some graphics and shit in the living room. But I also want to be able to work in the office. So like, yeah. So if you have a recommendation of a good hub for that, because I worry about overheating too.
Some of it, when you look at what you already have a monitor, So look at what that uses. If it's, for example, DisplayPort, get a DisplayPort hub, because the adapters from HDMI to DisplayPort don't always work with the signaling. I've learned that through experience. So get one that just is compatible with whatever you already have, and you'll be good.
I'll research. I'll look into a decent dock too. Also, I just remembered your dad texted me and told me he was looking at some vacuum tubes that he's trying to sell.
Some tubes.
Yeah, apparently your dad's selling some vacuum tubes for somebody.
He needs to
curious about if they were like what their value is. So I'm going to look up some vacuum tubes for him.
Yeah, well, he needs to go not to a computer shop, but to a music shop.
Yeah, I was going to say
they still use them. Yeah, they still use them in tube amps and stuff.
That's a good idea, actually. I should probably find out if they're the same vacuum tubes that my Grundig takes, because I should probably buy a set from him just for spares. On that note, we should probably scooch on off here. I got to get to work.
Yeah, absolutely. Me too.
I'm trying to find. I was trying to find my monitor, and I can't even find it. It's the HP Pavilion 22 BW.
Oh, I know that one. No, I mean I have no idea. It's more about like what connectors it has on it. Because I've had issues with the DisplayPort stuff. DisplayPort's nice and it gets high resolution when it works, but it just has always been finicky for me.
Well, I meant if I could show you what it was, then
hold up. Okay, I know we're about to wrap here, but I got to show something off real quick.
Okay, all right.
Hold on.
That's fair.
Where is it? Okay, so I just looked up that monitor. Share my screen real quick.
Okie dokie. Boom.
So I just looked up that monitor, and this is what came up.
Yo, that's fucking awesome. I want one of these.
But it says it's an HP 22B 21.5-inch LCD monitor.
It can fit one in there. Actually, no, it can't.
No, it literally says that it's got a max resolution of 1080.
How many?
That's an
people
awesome
have bought
display.
it.
I wonder if you purchase.
Go to the answered questions.
Is a bag going to show up, or is a monitor going to show up? Can this monitor be installed on a dual rack? Does it have built-in speakers? Hold on.
It's got to just be the wrong.
Pretty decent. Okay.
So it's actually a monitor. They just
great for about a year, then it's junk.
The backpack.
Unbelievable. I've been using PCs since 1985. Macintosh desktops. Well, then you haven't been using PCs since 1985. Anyways,
I like how they're like. I like how they're like. It's garbage. Broken year 2015. I'm still using mine.
People come into this building with things that are not broken, and like the monitor I'm currently using, that are not broken, and say, this is crap. It worked for a week and then it stopped working and I never touched it again. I want you to throw it away. Like, okay. and then I'll plug it in, and 9 times out of 10 it works fine.
Yeah, I will e-cycle it for you. Sure.
Oh my God. It's one of the best perks of working in a computer store is the random amount of e-waste. I have like a collection of all the iPhones for fun. You found the dark web. Oh God, that's how we got there. We have to buy that backpack, and then they give us our dark web license.
Yeah. You stumble upon it.
That's what Tails is for. Anyways, on that note,
yeah, I got a couple of things coming up. I'm going to work on some more Den stuff. I'm going to onboard that DAO this evening that I was talking about. And if I can help it, I'll get myself to wrap up some of the automation stuff too, because I really want to get back to leaderboard and get that up, because that'll be cool.
Awesome.
But a couple of quick reminders. Tomorrow we have that parallel systems episode on World Blockchain Roundtable.
Oh, that'll
There's
be
a
neat.
link to that in today's episode's post over in the coffee layer there that you can see on screen right now. And there's 2 quarterly reports out. So Den.social released a Q4 2022 quarterly report that has some metrics in it, has some just a recap of the last quarter with some data that was pulled. And also Dragon Chain separately in their layer has a Q4 quarterly report. There's some updates about the ongoing SEC case, for example, as well as bunch of other interesting things that are more positive than that. And there will be a governance call tomorrow at 3 p.m. where we'll talk about Den stuff exclusively. So if you want to get in on that and talk about where we are, where we're going, how long it's going to take to get there, that's the place to join and talk on that. So on that note, that's what I've got. Anybody else want to shout out anything on our way out today?
Do any of our viewers by chance have RAM chips for that Apple IIc? If you do, hit me up.
Yeah, I like to make a shout out to not giving a shit. To all the people that don't give a shit, keep on doing what you're doing.
Because I don't care.
Because I don't care anymore.
People that do give a shit, all right. That's
John,
all.
I have a task for you until our next meeting.
What's up?
I need you to draw something for us.
Oh,
I need you to graphically make something. It's been a while since I've seen or heard anything from our dear friend Heather Gray. And
I was thinking about her the other day.
I was thinking, it was when I was in the city. I was like, oh, I should go see what John's doing. I was like, man, we haven't talked about Heather in a while. So I'm going to need a nice new Heather Gray.
An update.
Take care of that.
We need a quarterly report for Heather Gray.
Quarterly report on Heather. And on that note, I got to go to work. Y'all have a wonderful morning.
I'll see y'all later.
Yeah.
Catch
Coffee
you
was
next
a
week
blast.
On Wednesday, 9 a.m.
Actually, also Dave texted me because I got to talk to you about something.
All right.
Nothing
great
bad.
time. That was a great time to throw that in there.
Dave texted me too.
Okay.
Just, everybody just text each other. Because
Yeah, call me. Just call me.
Yeah, everybody keep in touch. Makes the world go round. Have a good one. See you next week.
Okay. Bye.
Because that goal will serve to organize and measure the best.
Adaptable, all capital, label radical yet rational. A tactical approach is palpable if this animal is fallible, but that conclusion is laughable. So with for all detachable from the mandible, you see it now.